It's no blood, no foul. It's no blood, no foul. It's no blood, no foul. Emotions spill on the court when you proud. To rep your city, New York's the hometown. Playgrounds prepare me for the
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the No Blood, No Foul podcast presented by Real GM. I'm your host, Slice. Unfortunately, Coke is unable to join us today, but I do have Jim and Moo with us. Guys, it was a big win today. Knicks let it cut a little bit close there, but 96-92 to finish the season at 41-31 and clinch the fourth seed in the East. You know, the first and fourth were close quarters as the Knicks were actually down by one after the first, but they were able to build on that lead later on in the game, get it up to 17 and then eventually up to 21. But Boston used a 15-0 run late in the game because, as Knicks fans, we can't get anything too easy, right? But the Knicks were able to hold on at the end there. We needed Derrick Rose to come back in, kind of man the point guard spot. Nerlens Noel, even though he was jumping at things while Boston was going on their run, got a couple of big blocks in there as the Knicks picked up the 4-point win. And fellas, a lot of us got what we wanted there. I know Coke's not here. He was hoping for more for the Miami game. I'm happy we got Atlanta. Jim, I know you were on the same boat with me as well as you, Moo. Home court advantage for the Knicks, something we haven't seen in 8 years. RJ Barrett led the Knicks today with 22 while we focus on today's game while Julius Randle dropped 20 and the rest of the Killer Bees with Burks and Bullock dropped 17 and 16 apiece. But Jim, kick us off with how you're feeling after this one, man.
I mean, I was having like a panic attack for like the whole fourth quarter. Just I was hurting. I was like, I can't believe this. Tremont Waters just he looks pretty good. I mean, he just made it rain, hit a bunch of threes. Like we couldn't match up with the quickness of their guards, but you know what? We were able to pull it out. I don't know what was really going on with the offense in the fourth quarter. Sometimes Randall doesn't have it, and I just don't think keep continuously throwing the ball in the post to him over and over and over again and just letting him ISO is like really a good, effective strategy. Like we're going to see situations like this in the playoffs, and I think we need to be a little bit more creative on how we're running that offense. But 41 wins. I mean, who would have thought this coming into the season? I mean, home court advantage. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. Even if this game was a little sloppy and ugly, because sometimes I guess we didn't really try that hard. It seemed like we weren't really putting in a whole ton of effort, and we were kind of coasting, especially when we had a big lead. But you know what? We won. We got the matchup we wanted in the playoffs. I'm excited for the Hawks, and I think the most important thing is that we're gonna have a week off. I think RJ needs a little bit of a breather. I think Rose needs a little bit of a breather. Like Rose didn't really have it today. I think Noel probably needs a little bit of a breather too. So all these guys that are playing like a ton of minutes more than they have in their entire careers, we get to rest up. And thank you, playing tournament. Moo, what is your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if this was, we've said this a lot. If this was previous seasons, this would be the kind of game that they would have lost. Right. They just would have taken the hit, and that would have been a one, downhill swoon. But, you see the character of this team again. They never really looked like they were panicked. Even when the Celtics, back 8, kept the game close. I think they took a lead at some point. And that just kind of shows you both the team and the coach, right? So I don't feel too bad. There were points where I was screaming at the screen, but it was really when Alfred was, doing his thing and missing open layups and all that nonsense. But other than that, I didn't really feel that they were, could they have lost? Yeah. I mean, any team can lose on any given night. But I didn't really think that at point that they were really going to lose this game. I think it's going to be close. I mean, the Celtics, they had nothing to lose, right? Their guys were just playing, like Clyde said, loose. They have some talented guys there. So they did whatever. They took chances, they attacked passing lanes. They chucked threes. Jabari Parker did what he usually does, which is look great in no pressure situations. But yeah, ultimately, it is, it ended up the result was the best we can hope for, right? The Hawks in the first round, a week off, I think, like you guys said, it's going to be huge for this team. They'll probably need, some time to recoup. I'm hoping that part of the reason why we kept seeing Alfred was because Tibbs, somewhere in the back of his mind, he's trying to save Rose for the playoffs. Otherwise, we've been saying this all season, we have no idea why he's playing Payton as much as he has. But I think his minutes, right, Kyle, has been dropping. That's what the guys on the broadcast said. So I'm hoping that's the case, and that's a sign that maybe come playoff time, that's when Tibbs decides to, pull Alfred early if he even starts him, or just show something new. I mean, if you're going to do anything new, and Tibbs is not the type of guy that does new things, the playoffs would be the time, right?
Yeah. So his minutes per game back in January were a little over 29, dropped to 27.5 February, 23 in March, 19 in April, and May 15.
Perfect. So we play until like November.
Yeah, he's the definition of an innings eater. That's all he was here for.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, he was brutal in the third quarter. I'm surprised we were able to, we ended up blowing them out for a while in the third with Alf being just absolutely horrendous. Like we were at a 21-point lead at one point. I think it's going to take. I think he's going to get pulled and not start after a half in the playoffs, especially if we get down. I think that's my kind of prediction is like, I don't see Tibbs like pulling him from the starting lineup yet. But like if there's a piss poor half that he has and we're down and we're getting blown out, I could see him going with Burks out of halftime. That's my prediction at least.
I think it needs to be Rose. We saw what Burks was doing down the stretch when we were letting the Celtics get that 15-0 run. He's not able to really control an offense. We like his positives as a guy off the bench who's able to distribute the ball, shot create, but I don't think he's able to get the teammates involved like we need, especially RJ and Julius Randle. That's where Rose needs. Looking ahead to our next matchup there, obviously Julius Randle's been killing the Hawks, averaging just under, I think 37.7 points, they said, this season. But Trae Young is going to eat Elfrid Payton alive. There's no thought in me that thinks Elf can keep up with him as much as Tibbs likes his defense that he brings or whatever he brings. To me, Kyle's stats over there about his minutes is probably the best negative trend that you could ask for the Knicks, right? we like positive trends when you're talking about your team, but that's probably the one negative trend we all like to see. So to me, I think Derrick Rose should be the starter. I think that's kind of maybe what Tibbs was doing, trying to give Rose an extended rest while they were going in. But then we saw Burks just couldn't handle it. And that was the only flaw I could see from Burks, because shooting wise this game, I think he was 5 of 7 from 3. Bullock was 4 of 7 from 3, combined 9 of 18 from your snipers there. RJ 2 for 4, and then Julius 2 for 5. Those are only guys who shot and hit threes, with a cold night from IQ there and one Obi Toppin attempt. So our main four guys, our main four scorers did what they had to do. Jim, you're right in the fact that this was a quiet Derrick Rose game, 3 for 9, 7 points, 5 rebounds, only 2 assists. Nobody on the team had more than 2 assists except for Julius Randle. So again, another downfall, another negative that we see from the Knicks, and something that needs to change is that point guard spot needs to distribute the ball, especially now when the playoffs are in. It's going to be very tight games, and we need ball distribution badly.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I've been trying to. I know we don't want to keep harping on Alfred, but I can't resist. I've been watching.
Everyone gets a chance to bash Payton.
Yeah,
we all going to turn.
What do you mean we don't want to keep doing that? That's my favorite part of the show.
I was watching him. I'm trying to watch him really carefully whenever he's in the game to see maybe I could pick up some reason why Tibbs thinks he's worth playing. I can't. I mean, offensively, he's just, there's a reason why I call him almost. He never makes a basket. Never. Open layups, it doesn't matter how easy it is. He just can't get the ball in the basket. He might be able to get into the lane, but he can't finish. Defensively, I think he's probably the easiest guy to pick off on the Knicks. He just doesn't fight through picks. So I just I'm at a loss for words.
He's definitely shook too. Like you can tell. He doesn't want to shoot anymore.
Yeah.
Like he's just driving into the paint and just like Luke Cornett like stole a soul a few times. They were like brutal blocks too. Like
it was so bad. Even I felt bad for him.
Yeah, I did.
But he
chose violence.
No, but you do feel bad for him. But he's been paid $6 million a year. I mean, you got to do something. It doesn't matter if you're a scapegoat for Knicks fans. You got to do something. Stand up and show that they're wrong. He's showing every single game. He's showing that more and more that they're right.
So right. You guys remember about a month ago that Lakers game Effort scored 20 points on 12 shots, and people are like, hey, he's not so bad. Do you want to know what he's done since then?
Sure.
Absolutely nothing.
All in total, 78 points. And this is 16 games. 78 points, 100 shots, 8 free throw attempts.
That's remarkable.
Below 38 true shooting.
I mean, he has to drive a decent amount. I would think that he's probably, like 8 drives or a
that's
game.
The thing about the free throws, right?
Yeah,
only 8 free throws, and he drives how many times?
I'm guessing. I know last year he led the team. He was like 10 or 12, I think. But I mean, he's limited minutes. But I would think he would still be like 8 drives a game.
I would say more than half the shots are drives.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah,
and like you figured that just on the ability to drive so much that you get fouled more. Just attacking the paint. That's just insane. It's just insane. He's so bad. He's just. He's got. You figured that he would be trying a little harder because he's definitely got 1 foot out of the NBA or like trying to make something happen. But
he'll get picked up by one of these teams that need a bench player. I don't think he's out of the league yet, but he shouldn't be a starter on a playoff team. And it just again speaks to the volumes of this team when you have a guy like Elfrid Payton eating 14 minutes of your game and you're still able to be a 4th seed, get home court advantage in the playoffs. It's big. It's huge. To me, I think we spent enough time on Elf. I know people used to complain when we spent enough time on Frank back in the day. Now we spent enough time on Elf. Let's focus on some positives, right? Julius Randle, another big game, 27-7. Man, if this guy doesn't win, I think he's already locked in for most improved player of the year. From everything I've been reading, that's his trophy to get this year. To me, I think he's all NBA. We have a lot of forward candidates. There's a lot of solid forwards out there. We didn't get to see one in Jason Tatum today. You got Zion, Paul George, Kawhi, LeBron. The list goes on. Do you guys think Julius Randle is all NBA 3rd team? Does he get up to 2nd maybe because of what he did, or does he fall off this year? Because now's the time. Now it's close, and he's 7 triple doubles this year. He's been up there. I think he's 3rd team lock.
Yeah,
he should be 3rd team lock. I feel like he should be 2nd team. But I mean, like somebody like Paul George or there's so many star wings that they may just get on just for legacy purposes, even if Randall's had a better season, and at least in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's definitely a lock for 3rd. I mean, we keep hearing in the past when you had Knicks that have really, really nice seasons, people say, well, they don't deserve anything because the Knicks as a team suck, right? So this team does not suck. And Randle is a big part of why this team doesn't suck. So with just, it's beyond the numbers. It's what his impact has been to this team and where they're at. He definitely deserves all third team NBA. 2nd, I don't know. It's going to be hard because there's still a lot of really good players out there. A lot of big name guys. Even if they haven't produced, they'll get, voted in. But definitely, I think, 3rd team is it's not what we want, but I think it'll be a great sign. It'll be a great showing for, the Knicks as a whole.
Do you think Durant will make it, even though he hasn't played a lot of games? I mean, he was.
I hope not.
I would hope not, but he's been so elite when he actually plays.
Yeah, that's one of those tough ones where it's, he's an elite player, a legacy guy like you guys are saying, but, did he play enough this year? To me, and this is where it gets annoying because obviously I think Jokic is the MVP, the most valuable player of the league. Mm-hmm. But I think Julius Randle is the most valuable player to any playoff team.
Yeah.
Because without Julius Randle, this team we're on Detroit Pistons territory. We're maybe a little bit higher, but we're looking into the playoff, into the play-in bracket. We're not sniffing playoffs. I think
we would be a lot. I think we would be a lottery team. I don't even think we'd be in the play-in without.
Oh no, lottery team. Yeah, looking into the play-in. Yeah, we're not. Okay. There's no playoff team, even if you bring in a Derrick Rose this year. I think even with the Nuggets, you take Jokic out, they're not a championship contender, but I still think they're a playoff team, if they're fully healthy. But to me, I mean, I guess that's another conversation, right? He's not at MVP level yet, but he plays a few more years like this. He's going to. To me, I think still the craziest stat to me is he's the first Knicks player to average 27.5 in a season.
Yeah.
Even though it's abbreviated with the long history the Knicks have had. Moo, you've been there for longer than us. The first 20 and 10-5 player just speaks volumes to what he's done this season, man.
Yeah, it does. It does.
You might be able to argue this might be the best season of a Knick ever. I mean, like I know there's been debate with Randall and Carmelo. I mean, he was absolutely insane that 2012, 2013 year. I mean, I know there was like some elite years of Pat in the like late 80s, early 90s. But I mean, like you said, he's like the first Knick ever to do 20, 10, and 5.
Yeah,
That's really impressive.
this is definitely one of the best performances by a Knick, I think, overall. Especially considering what each of those guys had to deal with. Ewing had a lot of great years. But his teams, he had a lot of big time vets, right? He may not have had that second superstar, but his teams, like we said last show, his teams were generally better. They're geared more for the playoffs. They're more competitive. I mean, and it's hard to say, right? Because this team's really competitive, but the 90s Knicks teams were extremely competitive. Then you go back, Carmelo that 1 year, that was a great team. And he was, I think third in MVP voting, right? So he was all first, right? So that's kind of, like the last show when we were debating about who's better, right? Who was a better Knick? I mean, right now, Randall, like we said last time, it's really his first season as a true star. But even back, way back, Bernard King, for I don't know if any of you guys actually watched him play. He was unreal. King was on arguably some of the worst Knick teams, even worse than the recent memory. Their teams were awful. His teams were awful. And this was a guy that was shooting above 50%, carrying the load, averaging 30 plus points. He was rebounding. He was passing. This was, a guy where the other teams they were throwing everything at him. And this was when you can hit people.
Yeah.
Right? Not like the NBA now. And he was just going nuts. So you had King, who had a tremendous season as a Knick, and then going way back to, Reed and Clyde. Those were some great teams. They, both of them were stars, but you know what? They were not the top 5 guys.
Yeah.
But again, it's like the 90s Knicks. It's like this year's Knicks. They play great team ball, team defense. Everybody shared. And that's how they won. So it looks like, for this year, that's the same kind of formula, which, is a great sign because, it works. Right. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's like every time we had a new coach come in, they'd always be like, oh, we want to recreate the 90s teams. We're going to, bring that energy back to the Garden.
Right.
And it just so happens that Tibbs happens to be the guy that actually changed the culture and actually did what he said he was going to do,
Yeah, he was here for the 90s, right? So he was actually here. We brought somebody in. That's why I didn't mind if we even hired somebody like a Kenny Atkinson, because he was there a little bit late ends in the 90s, I believe. If, Moo, you might be able to correct me on this. Kenny was an assistant coach for Jeff Van Gundy, was he not?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so, those are some of the culture guys who were able to actually bring it. The Knicks have had way too many regime changes, but I think, I don't know if we harped on this last time, but I know I was talking to my buddy Allen about it, and a lot of people online about it. This just proved that David Fizdale is probably one of the worst coaches of all time.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, he's literally just a people guy, and he got hyped up by being on those Miami benches with LeBron and them, to try to build up his reputation. But man, the lack of anything that he could do with these guys and what he did to, I think Jim, you brought it up, what he did to RJ's shooting for him, and now what we're seeing now when he's finally able to break out to it. And Jeff Van Gundy brought it up as well. RJ's 3-point shooting and his improvement from there is really going to be the biggest thing for the Knicks in the playoffs, in my opinion. So Atlanta's a very good scoring team, no matter how good our defense has been. We swept the season series 3-0 against them. But when the playoffs come, you throw all that garbage out the window because it's a brand new season. None of that really matters. Julius Randle, like we said, he's been killing them. To me, I think RJ Barrett's 3-point shooting is going to be the key to the playoff series against the Hawks. Now, tell me, you guys, Jim, and I'll start with you. Outside of the obvious Julius Randle, right? What's the biggest thing that you're looking for the Knicks to make it to the second round?
I'm with you actually. I think RJ needs to come up big. I think we need more of an RJ performance that he had today than he's had, most of the month of May. That's why I'm like really excited about this week off because I think RJ needs it the most. Today he finally was getting he was finishing much better again today. There's no way that he doesn't have tired legs. And, Atlanta has a ton of wings, a lot of them. They're a very deep team. And the thing is that they've been pretty banged up all season. I don't think they were 100% any of the games that we played them. So we need everyone to come up big because, again, it's that they have so much shooting and so much scoring. There's so much firepower that we need to have our offense motoring on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think for me, it's two main things. It's the 3-point shooting, right? That's got to be critical. I think, the scary part for me from the 3-point standpoint is everybody's kind of been shooting career highs in threes. So can they carry that through to the playoffs when the pressure builds? That's a concern. I don't know how much it is, but that's something that I'm kind of concerned with heading into the playoffs. I think the other key part is Derrick Rose. Rose, at the end of the day, is the one guy I think on both teams, either teams, that has had the most playoff experience. So if anybody, right, because once playoffs start, everything becomes, more. Every possession counts, every play, every mistake. You need guys that have played the playoffs. That's why Taj and Rose are important. The big advantage the Knicks have over the Hawks is the Hawks in general. They're not a playoff team, right? They don't have a lot of experience, a lot of experienced guys. I think what'll be big is Rose. If Rose can just take that game he found down the stretch and just string it out throughout as far as he could go in the playoffs. That's probably going to be the difference maker. I think Randall will do what he does. RJ will also do what he does, which is kind of Jekyll and Hyde things. I don't expect that to change much, but that's fine because the Knicks can win with that.
True.
I think the big thing is Rose. Rose needs to gut it out. He's probably gonna have to play a few more minutes a game.
Well, that's why I think that week off is big for him too.
Right.
Because I feel like he hasn't really looked the same since he's come back. I feel like he's a little bit more hesitant since he missed a couple games with the ankle. So that's why I'm like, again, I'm going to keep bringing up the week off. It's like this is like the perfect situation for us. Like it's we need this so badly.
So Moo, there's Rose is actually number 2 on both teams for total playoff games.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Who's number 1?
Clint Capella.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He's played 61. He's played 61 playoff games. Rose has played 46.
But
wow. Rose has 2 more starts than him.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was
discrepancy than I thought. Holy crap, 61 to 46 with Capella. But true, yeah, I could see that. That's the only player that I think on the Hawks. Who else is it? Maybe Gallo.
Gallo
with some playoff experience.
Yeah, but Gallo hasn't really played
like
high end stuff like Capella and Rose. Like Capella has been to the conference finals. Obviously, Rose has as well.
Lou Williams.
Okay.
Games, yeah.
Oh yeah, Sweet Lou's back on that team. I forget. Yeah. That's somebody I'm kind of scared off the bench because that's a scorer right there. He's
a Nick killer for 2.
He's one of my favorite players to watch in the league because I like a player like him off the bench, kind of what we're seeing Alec Burks do and what we kind of want Quickly to be. That guy was able to come in, create, and get this exact shot that he wants to get. It's rare for him not to get it, right? And I think when you have a Trae Young who tires defenses out going around screens, and then you got to chase around a Lou Williams, to me, I think that's where, and I hate because I said I wanted to move on from him, but I think that's where the 14 minutes, 10 to 14 minutes of Elfrid Payton is really going to kill the Knicks. Because that's in the playoffs, you can't have a wasted second, let alone a quarter. You know what I mean? So yeah, I like that you brought up Lou Williams there. That's another player that would have been, slipped off my radar. And like you said, Jim, a very wing deep team. Like you got Bogdanovich is there, right? Huerter is there. As like we said with Gallo, they can go small, they can go big, they can throw a lot of different matchups against the Knicks. And
I think the one thing that's awesome is that none of their wings are really like known as defenders. Like I know DeAndre Hunter is probably the only guy that you would consider a defender. So it's like even though they do have a lot of guys out on the wing, you can attack a lot of them.
Yeah, but then you got to worry about a Capella, who's still a pretty solid, rim protector, shot blocker, and things like that. And to me, that's going to make it a little bit tough. And that's where, to Moo's point, right? The Knicks are all pretty much shooting career highs from 3-point. So that's, do you get the regression to the mean, or are the Knicks still going to be able to kind of create a little bit, get defenses off of their feet and rotate? Because we saw Alec Burks miss a couple of shots there late in the fourth, but, I still loved what I saw from him. But Reggie Block is going to have to keep doing what he's paid to do in this league and hitting those shots. And I love the little, I don't know if I saw it a little earlier this season. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but now he's finally be utilizing that pump fake and stepping inside and hitting that deep 2, which has been huge because it opens it up. It has to keep defenses honest a little bit. And
that was the game-winning shot. Bullock doing that, that was a big shot because we couldn't buy a bucket at all, and he just, he got chased off the line and just hit a little pull-up jumper. Yeah, his jumper looks smooth right now too. It's like automatic.
Yeah, it looks wet. And I mean, to me, I think that's one of the big improvements that he's made in his game. But I think again, stopping Trae Young, Alfred Payton can't do it. Derrick Rose is a little bit too old. Who do you think we're gonna have to like kind of contain Trae Young and Lou Williams when they go off? Yeah. Is it gonna be
This is bait. This is such
and
bait.
I'm not saying Frank.
Freeze,
I'm not
Frank,
saying
freeze,
not
Frank.
saying Frank because Frank's not gonna be in there. Like I don't think he's gonna get deep minutes. Do you guys think Burks or maybe Quickly? I think this is gonna be Quickly's time to shine to show what he can do on defense.
I think it's going to be interesting on how we're going to handle Trae.
Yeah.
Like, because he's lightning quick and he's a 3-level scorer, like, I wonder if we're going to try to, like, wall off and double on him or see if we can, like, stick our guys. They have, like I said, they have a lot of shooting and hopefully, let Taj and Noel, block him, like, double on that.
Try to
sort of
funnel
way.
him into the paint a little bit and clear off the outside.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see a tough time because Reggie Bullock's our best perimeter defender, right? He can't chase Trae Young out there. Lou Williams will lose him off. So to me, I think that's the biggest thing is the Knicks are going to be. I think Trae's going to get so many of those little tic-tac baby fouls where he goes around the screen, and we saw him do it against Derrick Rose the last time we played. He'll go up, Rose went right underneath him, and he picks up a few fouls. So foul trouble is going to be one of the major things from a point guard spot to get up there. Frank, I know you guys thought I was baiting it with Frank there, but again, I don't think Frank is again able to keep up with him. It's a difficult part. He's long, he's things like that, but
I think Frank has defended Trae pretty well, if memory serves me right.
I just looked up their stats, and yeah, he holds Trae to like below what he usually plays at.
See, that's the bait. That was my bait right there to get Kyle to praise Frank first.
Well, I was actually gonna say, Slice, to your point about fouling, isn't it actually a thing though in the playoffs? Like the refs kind of swallowed their whistles a bit, so shouldn't that work out in our favor?
Hopefully, but those fouls on 3-point shooters, I still think they get called. You're looking at more of the inside, those down low fouls is where the whistles get swallowed a little bit, in my opinion, for the playoffs.
Yeah, so hopefully, because Trae he drives a lot. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's top 15 in drives per game. So I think that's going to help a lot. If we can body him a little bit because he's tiny. He's
going to get his points right. The goal is to prevent him from making his teammates even better and getting them easy shots, right? So you bother him as much as you can. You make him feel uncomfortable. If he's going to try to score himself, then all right, then you funnel him in and hope Noel can block some shots. But yeah, I think the other thing that I'm worried about is the offensive rebounding, right? Because if they shoot, they have a lot of perimeter shooters, and I think Capella is probably number 1 in the NBA in offensive rebounds. Kyle,
yep,
probably because his team takes so many shots.
He's number 1.
Yeah.
Enes Kanter number 2 actually, and Trae Young is 3rd in the NBA in drives per game.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep. So I mean that's the other part that I'm concerned about is the offensive rebounding and second chances, right? Because you usually second, and especially the way the Knicks play defense is scrambling. When the other team grabs the offensive rebound, if they could get it to the open guy quick, usually you'll have a guy that's got a wide open look.
Yeah.
So that's another concern. I think. I don't know how you beat that, right? Because the Knicks, the reality is they lack size.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's a big challenge. It's a big. I know Coco has harped on it. The Knicks gave up good wide open threes, from the wing and the top of the key. Right. To me, in the playoffs, there's no such thing as giving up a good wide open shot in general, especially to you guys' point, a team like the Hawks, where any given point out there, you got 4 guys who could shoot.
Yeah, they're all like 40% 3-point shooters.
Yeah, they're all, and most of these guys are on their average. Like like you said, Knicks are on their higher end of their career averages. Right. These guys average, statistically, they're on their averages over there. So to me, I think that's going to be a big thing. I know we all were saying, give us the Hawks. It's the easy matchup. But now, realistically, when you take a look at it, and we're here right now, we're like, hey, it's not as easy as we think it's going to be.
Have the Heat instead.
You know what I mean? I would not want the Heat. No. I still take the Hawks over the Heat. Not even looking at the second round, but we're pretty much guaranteed Philly. The winner of this series is pretty much guaranteed Philly in the second round. But that's something else we could talk a little bit about later. But let me get your guys' predictions a little bit. Not trying to move ahead here, but where do you guys see this going? Do you guys see this realistically as a 4-0 sweep, a 4-1, or are we going to get out to 7 games?
I can see 7 games. I think that's distinctly possible. I mean, we're two teams that really haven't. Our best players haven't been in the playoffs before. I think there's going to be an adjustment for everybody, and we're both really good teams. So I could easily see 7 games happening. But I think a sweep or is probably the most unlikely. I would be shocked if there was a sweep in either direction.
I'll go with 6 games. I think it's going to be 4-2, either team, and it's going to be whatever team has the momentum and figures things out. Hopefully that the Hawks have Nate, and Nate's he's kind of Tibbs like, so that's kind of the drawback of having, if they had some younger guy, then maybe, right?
Yeah.
But I think the Tibbs matchup with Nate. I'd still favor Tibbs, but I think it's closer because they have Nate. But I think it's going to ultimately come down to who picks up which team picks up their game, and then it's going to be. I think it'll be enough momentum to make this number and then a 6-game series. I don't think it'll go 7.
So we got a couple comments here. So Rob's in the chat. He says, if we play like we did the last 2 games, we'll get swept. Thankfully, we have a week to get rested up. So he agrees on that. And he also says he never thought they'd be an easy matchup, but compared to the Bucks or Heat, he'll take the chances with the Hawks.
Sure.
By far.
And we got Gip in the chat saying we see you, Gip. I mean, so like it says in the description of the video, nothing easy, baby. We're going to Game 7, baby.
The season was never, at no point was this easy, but easy doesn't matter as long as you win.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I mean, we exceeded expectations, and when you do that, it's never going to be easy, right? It's not like we did a cakewalk to the 4th seed. So to me, I think this is a positive no matter what, but now you're starting into the second half, the second season. That's what the playoffs is. It's the second season. So can you keep the momentum going? And Moo, you actually beat me to it. Coach McMillan is probably 3rd for me for Coach of the Year behind Monty and Tibbs, because he took a 14-20 team and led them to the 5th seed battle for 4th. So to me, that coaching battle, that chess matchup between the coaches is going to be huge. I think what carries the Knicks, and to me, Jim, I'm sorry, I got to disagree with you as well. I don't think this goes 7. I see a 5 or 6 game series, and I think the Knicks defense will kind of hold this down. I think as long as the Knicks, can limit the scrambling a little bit, and Tibbs is able to instill his philosophies, and obviously we don't have Elf playing as much, I think the Knicks win this in 5. I think we win the first 2 in MSG. I think we split with Atlanta at home, and then we win the game, and I think we win Game 5 at MSG and move on to the next round. That's my official prediction. I don't know if you guys want to give an official one, since we got thoughts on there, if you want to use this week to rest up a little bit. But that's my official prediction, Knicks in 5.
Wow.
It's a little aggressive.
I'll go Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go 6. Knicks. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, that's what it has to. I think realistically, that's going to 6 is probably realistic, I should say. Sorry, I was getting a little tongue-tied there. Just in terms of the shooters the Hawks have and what I could see them bring. But, focusing back on this game today, right, Jim, I know you mentioned it before, you thought maybe the Knicks were looking ahead or not trying. But to me, I think these are the type of games where, when one team benches its star players and another team has something to play for, almost always the team that has something to play for loses, realistically, because they're, like you said, they're looking ahead and things like that. And to me, that was the most kind of shocking thing. The Knicks up 17 and a Tibbs team letting them lose focus and letting them lose control of the game. To me, was very shocking. Because even at the end, the only thing that we kind of changed up with our lineup was Burks and over Rose. That's why I'm kind of hesitant there, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this going forward. Is Burks really the guy that we want controlling the ball down the stretch, considering what we saw, or do you guys kind of just want him as an emergency ball handler, or that second guy out there, secondary ball handler?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks need more ball handlers at any given point. So maybe going against the Hawks, because the Hawks, other than Capella, I think they're relatively wing or guard heavy. That maybe you try to add another ball handler for more minutes, just to control it, right? That does mean again, comes down spiraling back to Alfred and what do you do with them? Because from my standpoint, he's not a ball handler. He's really nothing. He doesn't do anything with the ball.
He's just out there.
He's nothing.
I mean, I want to clarify. I know the last show I said he was Charlie Ward without the shooting or the defense. The reason I said that is because I don't know if you guys remember when Ward was playing, he was a solid guy, but other than his defense, so-called defense, and his occasional ability to hit a three, he really didn't do anything as a point guard.
I feel like he set the team up pretty well, though, right? He got guys into the, or I might just have rose-colored glasses with them because that was my team to watch growing up.
Yeah,
I feel like Charlie was able to set some of those guys up pretty well, and he was, I guess maybe he was just more poised.
He was just more poised. All he would do is dribble down. I remember Van Gundy screaming at Ward to speed it up, bring it up the court faster, and Ward's like, whatever. Right.
I do know he liked to jog up there. The 8 seconds to cross the court to kill him.
Yeah, that's Peyton. Right. It doesn't matter what play, early, late. If the Knicks have a 5-on-3, he's just jogging it up there.
Yeah.
Right. And once he does that, he doesn't do anything with it. It's just, okay, I'm going to dribble it. He waves his hand, pointing at guys, and I don't see any guy ever reacting to whatever he's trying to call.
Yeah.
And then he just passes it to Randall and gets out of the way. Right. That's
what Charlie did with Ewing.
That's what Charlie did with Ewing, is he passes it to Ewing and you get out of the way. Right, you go stand in the corner. But at least Ward could stand in the corner and hit a shot.
He was a threat. Yeah, he was a threat to hit the shot. Yeah, right. And that's the one thing that we're missing. I mean, even Derrick Rose this year, right? He's a threat to hit the three. But like you said, Mood, I think that's just more the teams. Now, do you think that's just good luck? Or, good luck with us getting lucky with players hitting their shots? Or do you think that's more of the scheme right now with Randall directing so much attention that we're able to move the ball a little bit better and get guys in better spots to hit their threes?
I think it has to do with the mindset, and that's why I'm so concerned when guys that can't perform on offense are in the game a lot. It disrupts the flow.
Yeah.
And when your flow is off, when your flow is going on offense, it carries over to defense, and defense carries over to offense. That's why you have teams that like the Knicks who don't have a lot of talent. Why they seem to win so well, because they're generally in great flows, right? They're controlling the game. When you have guys that just are non-factors on either end of the floor, it disrupts the flow, right? So, and that's key. I think for the most part, the Knicks have done better than they have shooting threes because their flow's been great, right? They're defending, they're confident, they're always on their toes, and that impacts the entire game. So I think. Can they carry over into the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think they've gone through 72 games, so they know what the deal is. The Hawks are not a scary team, right? Full of top tier stars and stuff like that. So I think in that respect, that's in my opinion why the Knicks shooting have been so well. It just carries over. It's the entire flow of the team. If you took these individual guys apart and dropped them off on other teams, will they be able to continue shooting 40? Nah, not at all. Right. So that kind of factors into what I've said before, where I think, I know a lot of guys want this team back, and I do too. But I think a lot of why these guys are doing so well is because of the system that they're in and the way they play. Right. So when everybody's on the same page and because you have to, because if you're not on the same page, you're sitting, right, with Tibbs. So if you're on the same page, everybody's flowing, the game is easier, right? Yeah. Your shots are right on. You're not leaning to one side or the other. You're not waiting. You're not hesitating. You're not doing any of that stuff. So, that's, again, from my part, why I think if they lose some of these guys, okay, you could bring other guys in. And as long as they buy into the system, I'm expecting them to kind of uptick as well. So, that's
the key thing you just said. As long as they buy in, it's hard to find role players that can fit in and buy into this team. So, to me, I think that's why, having that salary cap space is kind of big for the Knicks, because you can bring these guys in, and if they bought in, you can lose one or two of them, Elf, obviously. But that's why I would love to have these guys come in and improve in a point guard spot, because I think that's the biggest need for the Knicks, and I think that's why a lot of people may be clamoring for Lonzo Ball. But to me, like a Malcolm Brogdon is probably ideal for this team. But we digress because we're looking forward to what's going on next year. But we have a playoff team. We have a playoff team ahead of us here. But to me, man, the rest of this East, once we get to the second round, is scary. Do you guys, and like I said, I didn't want to look ahead here, but what do you guys think about the Philly matchup? If we do move on, like we are all saying we would, what do you guys think about Philly? Because we got a week off in between, right? We got a week off now. Philly, I think they're going to sweep whoever they play early on. So they're going to have a bigger rest than us. But
if Phillies, I mean, I'm for the Sixers. If as long as Embiid's healthy, right? If he gets injured, hey, everybody's got a shot. But if he's healthy, the big difference between this team and previous teams is their defense, right? They've got guys that can shut people down.
Yeah.
And that's going to make it hard. And it's not like, okay, they'll shut you down, you'll shut them down. It's really hard to shut down Embiid and even Harris when he gets going, right? So, it's going to be. If the Knicks make it to past the Hawks, I don't see them beating the Sixers. No.
I think out of the first three teams, I think we probably match up with them the best. Just because, I think you could double off Simmons enough to bother Embiid, to make it at least make him a little inefficient. But I mean, I don't see us upsetting them unless Embiid goes down because, you saw what Andre Drummond did to us the other
can do
night.
That, yeah.
What can an Embiid do? But I think with Tibbs is that if someone's going to be able to game plan against an elite big like Embiid, Tibbs is going to be that guy. I mean, I feel like there's been so many times this year that we've seen him make second half adjustments that completely flip the game on its head. So it's if you give him a week to plan or seeing a team multiple times and him being such the film junkie that he is, I think that would probably give us our best bet. Because again, it's who else really scares you on that team? Maybe Harris, I guess. They have a lot of shooters and they're good, but I'm not scared of their offense really.
I mean, I guess offensively, right? You got Seth Curry, you could shoot. Then other than that, you're looking at Tobias and Embiid. To me, Embiid is kind of the biggest threat for us because he has the body type of a big man that kills us, but he's also skill-wise. I think he's the second best big in the league behind Jokic. You can arguably say he's even more skilled than Jokic, just depending on how you feel. I think Jokic is probably a little bit more skilled, but Embiid just has it all. They're 1A and 1B in terms of big men for me. So, Jim, while you think they might be the best matchup for us, I tend to disagree with that just because of Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons and Tybal as defenders, they have two guys who you can put on a Julius Randle and RJ Barrett and force the rest of the team to beat us. Simmons has a body type.
Who do you think we match up with better than
the Nets? The Nets. As talented as they are, defensively, they can't do anything to us, and the Knicks do have good defense, and we play good team defense. The Bucks are just too long. They gave Julius Randle a lot of trouble where the Knicks wouldn't get anything going in the paint. I think Philly is probably the second best team that we match up with just because, defensively, they're not really, they have the two guys that I mentioned. Offensively, if you lock down a Tobias or Joel, you might have a shot there. With Brooklyn also, I think kind of the Knicks just get up to play Brooklyn. So it's kind of that intangibles to me that, maybe why I think of them as the easiest. It's a crosstown rivalry, and the Knicks just get up more to play them. So it might not be the right answer, but I think because of off-court intangible things outside the box score or outside of what you see, I think that's why they might be the easiest of those top three teams to me.
Yeah.
But,
what's your thought? Who do you think we match up with the best, Moo?
Man, all three teams are hard. My concern with the Nets is that they don't defend, but they're just so much talent there.
Yeah.
And with Harden, when you think of it, Harden is right. Kyrie Irving is not even their point guard. It's Harden.
I know.
And Harden is not only their point guard, but he's probably their most talented offensive player. Harden is about as a 3-tier scorer as good a 3-tier scorer as you can get. I mean, you just can't stop him, right? He doesn't, and he's the type. We said it when he was, coming out of college. This guy can't possibly score in the NBA because, look at the body and look at his speed. But heck, he can score whenever he wants, however he wants, and his ability to get his teammates set up is just crazy. So I think if all three guys, and they have other talent, right? They have
and Blake Griffin is solid in
Griffin.
Limited minutes.
In limited minutes, Blake Griffin is great, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, you got Jeff Green looking like Jeff Green of the Thunder dunking on people this year too. Yeah, they're talent. You know what I mean? Like I know when I said it was in. I saw the look that you gave when I said that, Jim. It's kind of a blasphemous answer, but the Knicks do get up to play, and we've had all close games against them, if I remember right. Like,
but they were never 100%.
But they were never 100%. To me, I think the most ideal would be the Nets defense and the Bucks offense. Give us that combination, and we get the best chance against the top 3 team. But
I think we would have a solid shot at the Bucks too, just because they have like nothing off the bench. That if you can like kind of like slow Giannis down a little bit.
Yeah, to me, they have the weakest bench of those top 3 by far. By far, I think you're right about that.
So speaking of Brooklyn, we got another chat here from Rob. He says the Wizards might knock Brooklyn out. Westbrook and Beal are streaking. Do you guys want to comment on that, or should we just leave it?
I mean, we could.
I can see them stealing a game or two from Brooklyn. I don't think they win the series. I definitely think that Westbrook will go insane. Like for
Westbrook will have Westbrook games, yes.
Yeah, there'll be a couple like absolutely nuts performances by Russell Westbrook. But yeah, I don't think they're knocking the Nets out. But if it happens, that'd be cool.
That'd be an interesting matchup, actually, to see Westbrook and Beal going up against, Harden, Kyrie, and KD. Yeah, that'd be heck interesting. If Westbrook hits the stride, and he always has a chip on his shoulder. If he, this is the perfect time if he brings the biggest chip he's had in his career to show everybody up.
Yeah,
it could be really surprising. I was thinking, I had a dream the other night that the Knicks actually traded for Westbrook after all, and he was heading into the playoffs with them. But yeah, how funny would that be?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, anything is possible. I think that would definitely be an interesting matchup. The Wizards are peaking.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's like the most competitive playoff series. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if it's Lakers Suns, that'll be pretty interesting as well. But yeah, I can definitely see I can see this being the most competitive series.
I think it'll be a competitive sweep. I don't think Washington will get a game, I think it'll be a competitive sweep. Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook are some of the most, talented guys we've ever seen play. Beal is a scorer. Westbrook is what he does, triple doubles. 183 for his career, I think, obviously leading the NBA historically. But they just don't match up well. Who else do they have? Young Rui. Ish Smith carrying them today.
Rui Hachimura.
I like Rui, but he's not going to do anything. He's not going to be a difference maker against the Nets, in my opinion. But is that their third best player? Right? Like
who's their number 3 guy?
I think it's Rui.
Yeah.
Is it? Statistically, Kyle?
So their number 3 guy is in terms of points per game or in terms of shots? This is different.
Both. I'm curious for both.
Yeah.
Points. Oh wait, no, they traded Thomas Bryant. Never mind. It's Rui.
Oh, is it? Ooh.
They traded Thomas Bryant, right?
I think he's just injured.
Is he hurt? I think he's hurt.
Yeah. He's injured. Yeah.
He's hurt. Yeah. No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's a competitive sweep. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I can see them doing the gentleman's sweep. Like the Westbrook goes off for one game and they win one. But I mean, like crazier things have happened.
Yeah, like Moose said, anything is possible in his league, but we'll see. But going back to this game here, since Coke isn't here, I'm actually going to kick it over to you both. And Jim, I'll let you go first. It's going to be a surprise. Might be a surprise. I'll give you a second to look at the box score. Who's your scrub of the night?
Oh man, I don't even know. Go to Boo first. Go to Boo first.
Moo's doing the same thing, pulling up the box score too.
I'm looking at the box score.
I just sprung it up on you guys.
You know what? You go.
I'm gonna cowardly just go with Elfrid Payton. Let's see. How about Peyton Pritchard? He was a guy that I really liked coming out of the draft, but he was 2 for 10 tonight. Only hit 2 threes. Oh, and he did triple sixes, so that's the devil's number. So that's why he'll be my scrub of the night.
I'll go with 2 guys. Obviously, well, other than Alfred's the de facto third guy, right? On the Celtics, it's former Luke Cornett.
Took my guy.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully
he missed 2 big threes down the stretch that would have tied the game. So
was my reason.
I feel like that's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think in his head he's a 3-point shooter, but I think he probably tries more shots than he should.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's just starting because the other 7 are out, right? He's not.
Yep.
Is he a normal rotation guy?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so. No.
Okay. And I think the other guy is like Jim said, Peyton Pritchard. He was airballing. That was some ugly threes.
Yeah, he
Really?
missed the rim on a bunch. Like they were like, I mean, Clyde was making fun of him.
Yeah.
And they were ridiculously bad shots.
It was So it would be those 2 guys.
Yeah, I agree with you on Luke. I think that's kind of why I brought it up there because like you guys said, those big threes he missed down a stretch, wide open in the corner, right? Not the spot that you want to let shooters shoot from, but wide open in the corner. Sorry, once a Nick, always a Nick, but once a scrub, always a scrub as well. So
nice.
You could get it this time, Luke. But, hey, we already look forward to the playoff matchup. We already got predictions. We got a week off now. Hey, like we've been saying, all 4 of us, 5 of us, when we're all here together, we've been running every other day too with this team, so we all get a week off as well to kind of recharge here. So for your final week off,
I might do a couple date nights during the week now with the fiance because I don't have to do a podcast every other day.
Yeah, my wife is excited with this break right now. She was looking at me, which is like, "What's the schedule look like?" I'm like, "I don't know playoffs yet, but you get a week off, so you should take advantage of it how you can." But hey, Jim, kick us off with your final thoughts for the week. Whatever you want to think of, for this game and looking forward to the playoffs.
I think it comes down to how Tibbs can game plan. Like I was thinking about it when you guys brought up Fizdale before, and like how he was supposed to be a communications and relationship guy, but he couldn't get anybody to buy into his system. So it's like clearly everyone saw him as a phony, and except for Steve Mills apparently. But I think that's going to be the key here is can Tibbs out coach Nate, because like talent wise they have us beat talent wise. I would say they're probably a little bit deeper and have better scorers, but I just think if we can impose our will with Tibbs's game plan and get them to play our way, we'll win.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the week off is going to be huge for the Knicks, more so probably than any other team heading into the playoffs.
By far.
Not just because anybody's injured, but I'm sure this, the fact that they've overachieved this whole season says that their bodies are probably going, gone through more mileage, right? Especially for the top players. We already know that, right, with the minutes played. But yeah, this week is going to be huge for them to hopefully recharge, resync, and get ready for the playoffs. So it's really a good, that's the best thing about this play-in is that it gives this team a break. So I think that'll help them. And then we'll just have to see how what they do with the Hawks. Starting in Madison Square Garden helps.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just hope for the best. I don't doubt that this team will be ready. Whether they win or not, we'll see. But whether they'll be ready or not, absolutely, they'll be 100% ready.
For sure. Kyle, you don't get to say much sometimes, but we got a week off, buddy. Let's get your final thoughts.
Hey, Mood, you want to feel really old?
Already older than I already feel. Sure, why not?
So you talked about Bernard King earlier.
Uh-huh.
You know that he was retired for almost 3 years before I was born?
That would not surprise me.
I just wish that he was able to play when Ewing was finally drafted. If you could have paired those two together.
One of the biggest what ifs in Knicks history.
I looked at the dude's stats. That's nuts. He was putting up 62% true shooting in the 80s, and Jesus.
In the 80s, when he was the clearly the only guy that can actually score on the team.
Only guy with talent on the team. Who was he playing? Was he playing with Kiki? Was that Kiki on his team back then, or that was Kiki came after? Right.
That was after.
Yeah, I can't even tell you his teammates on those teams.
Well, Kiki was before.
Kiki was before Bernard. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe Rory Sparrow was the only carry, somebody like that.
When was Bill Cartwright on the team?
Cartwright was. Oh, maybe Cartwright was on. No, I don't think Cartwright was on the team. But it was clear. I remember watching him, and his favorite move was the baseline. And we hear guys saying, cut off the baseline. You couldn't stop him. He was baseline, and then that mid-range shot, or he'll go in for a layup, and he had guys right all over him. They were hitting him. It really didn't matter. And the fact, his true shooting percentage is what makes him great. Anybody can chuck shots and score, but with him doing that as the only guy on the team during an era where nobody's going to give you an open basket, right? That's just what was amazing about him. So if he could have lasted, right? And part of the reason why his knees went was because exactly of that. Teams were throwing everything at him.
So he actually did play with Cartwright for 2 years.
Yes. Yep.
And, I'll give you one chance to get your final thoughts in a long time, and you got to take a shot at Moo and his age. Surprised it wasn't a shot at Obi.
Well, hey, he was around at that point.
No, man. Just to wrap it up, guys. Great season. I want to take credit for us as a No Blood No Foul podcast to lead the Knicks into the playoffs, because it wasn't for us. Good luck after the game. Maybe the team might not have made it. So it's not a coincidence we started this podcast and now the Knicks are a playoff team. But no,
this is like that like Obama giving himself the medal thing.
Yeah,
that's right. We'll take it.
Hey, we'll take it, man. We'll take it. But no, it's been refreshing. This is the best team we've seen in 8 years. We got a superstar now. This is where Julius Randle can really cement himself in one of the all-time Knicks seasons. It's what you do in this 82 games, or in this season's case 72 games, is very important. But what you do in the second season, the playoffs, is the most important to me if you get there. So they got step one accomplished. Step two is now the playoffs. 41-31. Jim, like you said, none of us saw this coming this season. Great win, break the 40 win barrier. And hey, it wouldn't be a Knicks team if they didn't make you sweat down the stretch in the game that we needed to lock it down. Got the 4th seed with a 4-point win. We'll take it. RJ lead the Knicks with 22, Julius with 20, and the rest of the Killer Bees, hit their threes and did what they needed to do. Now we all get a week off, get to relax, watch some more entertaining play-in basketball. Hey, everybody who joined us today in the chat and listened to us throughout the season, we really appreciate you guys and appreciate the support. Make sure you keep giving us a thumbs up if you like what you heard, as well as subscribing so you guys can check out the latest videos when they come out. If everybody enjoy your week off, we'll catch with everybody, next weekend. We out.
Crying for calls, we took your morale.
Congratulations till we run that clock out. MSG to Mecca, this is our house. NYC forever when we mob out. See that kid drip, got that